Frazier and Maestro styles, you know we got one. Right back like we left some. We don't duck smoke, we want all of it. So line them up, Trey sharp with the blade, you know we sizing it up. I'm quick to catch the fade, you know Styles making the cut. Cause we coming out clean every time that we showing up.
It's gonna be called The Barbershop.
Yo, what up? What up, folks? Welcome. It's another edition of the Barbershop Sports Talk Podcast. I'm Trey Frazier, and that's the homie Maestro Styles over there.
Yes, sir.
What's good, man? What's going on? How's your week been?
Man. Cooling, man. Just another day in paradise, bro. How you?
I'm good, man. Weekend was great. Got the in-laws here this week. Just busy this week, man. I realized it's funny. I put on the Snoop Dogg shirt today, and then I realized the homie that was in the versus against Snoop Dogg today is the 3-year anniversary of the death of one of the greatest rappers, in rap history, DMX.
I thought that was like yesterday.
I thought it was April 9th.
Okay, I mean, look, I don't know for a fact.
Okay. I thought it was April 9th.
Take your word for it.
Okay. And I've been seeing it on the timeline also too.
Yeah,
so
okay.
I just yeah. So I've been seeing it there, but rest in peace to the great DMX. For sure.
I would have put my DMX shirt on if I had time to do that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I wish I would have known. Yeah, I wish I would have put all that together.
Yep. No doubt. By the way, folks, you can watch us streaming on our YouTube channel, Twitch, on Twitter at Barbershop SPOR2. And the good news for today is that as you folks can see if you're watching, we're kind of in a different layout. And it's far overdue. I know we're slow at keeping up with the technology and the times and all this stuff, but we finally on StreamYard, and we also have the ability to stream on Instagram, which is the good news. Now the issue is that right now we're not streaming on Instagram right now. I don't know what the issue is. Maybe the stream key is acting a little weird, but somehow it hasn't connected to Instagram, so that's something I'm gonna have to.
You is king air out technical issues on the show, my nigga.
Hey man, look, man.
I mean, it's cool. Hey, it's who you are at this stage of the game. I ain't hating. I'm just saying.
Hey, look. I said that we had some good news today, and I was hoping that I thought these things was ironed out, but apparently it's not ironed out. So
hey man, no worries.
It is what it is. It is what it is at this point. But glad we made the change and all that. Looking forward to many more. On this podcast. But I guess we do have other good news also. Cordell Woodland, who is a radio host, Sports 105.7 The Fan here in Baltimore. Cordell Woodland is going to join the show. I actually met Cordell at Rita and Chelsea's kickoff party back in September for the NFL season. Cool dude. We talked for a little bit. I decided to hit him up, see if he was available. He said, cool. He said he'd come on and do the spot. So yeah, we'll have Cordell on probably about 18 minutes. Big time Commanders fan, DC native. Also roots for the Miami Heat, so we'll talk some NBA as well, and covers Baltimore sports. So we'll ask him about the Ravens and what's going on and what he thinks about the draft coming up and all that. But I guess we got to talk about these championship games, man. Congratulations to Dawn Staley and the South Carolina Gamecocks, undefeated season to cap, championship capping off the undefeated season, which definitely should be talked about a lot more on these airwaves than I've been seeing. congrats to, the players and, everybody else on the team. This is her third championship.
Yeah.
This is a third championship. She's in some huge company when it comes to multiple national championships. Already a Hall of Famer in my book. Not sure if she's there yet as a player, but certainly what she's contributed to basketball, player wise,
and coach wise now.
Coach wise, yep. She is definitely a Hall of Famer, man. So congrats to the girls, South Carolina Gamecocks team, and congrats to the UConn men on capping off a big season. This last night, number one seed. I mean, they and I think I talked about this last week, Maestro. This was a team that I thought was just going to blow right through the tournament and just wipe everybody up as they marched to the championship.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't matter who the competition was. It didn't matter if it was against the one seed Purdue, like it was last night. And props to Purdue, for finally at least getting over the Final Four hump. But it was just too much. UConn was just too much for them. So, congrats to UConn. Congrats to Dan Hurley, going back-to-back titles. And they already asking him about, is he going to take the Kentucky job?
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, for certain. Shout out to UConn. Congrats to them. I think what needs to be said or resaid is reiterated and highlighted is Dawn Staley won her third championship, man. Congrats to Dawn Staley, class act. Even in victory. Look, man, what you gotta respect about Dawn Staley is she knows what she's talking about on the court.
Yep.
She gets the response from the girls on the court, and she always makes it her business to do the mature thing in these press conferences. And like she is the perfect role model for women's basketball. There's just like there's seemingly no wrong. Like she's obviously ain't nobody perfect, but like she's doing all the right things. She's doing all the right things on and off the court. Louis Vuitton Don, like she is a necessity for women's basketball right now. Like I said, even in victory, made it her business to give credit to Caitlin Clark. And because I'm sure she knew, win or lose, they was going to find a way to kind of take this story off of her, and make it about Caitlin Clark, and however any separate little news medium wanted to frame Caitlin Clark as the villain, as the however they wanted to frame it, but her recognizing her as a basketball player and the great that she is in basketball and women's basketball just speaks more to the character of Dawn Staley. And I don't think that shouldn't go without being said, that her character was necessary. I was asked an interesting question today. Do you think that Dawn Staley has NBA ambitions to coach? And B, how do you think that would fare for her?
I don't think she has NBA aspirations because I think she's comfortable where she's at.
Mm-hmm.
She's got a program, and I got to add this one point too, because I don't think this gets talked about enough. The starting five from last season all went
gone.
To the WNBA or elsewhere.
Yeah,
she started with a fresh new starting five and still went undefeated and marched right to a championship. So
for sure, yeah.
So I don't think that she's eyeing the NBA. Do I think it's a good look for her? Yeah, I think Dawn Staley being a coach in the NBA is a good idea. I think she could command the respect of the players in the league that's currently there.
Yeah.
I think that with her catalog of wins, the championships, the pedigree, I think the league, and when I say the league, I'm really talking about the players.
Mm-hmm.
The players would welcome Dawn Staley as an NBA head coach. Now, I heard that the Charlotte Hornets, who shout out to Steve Clifford announced last week he was stepping down from head coach in the Hornets.
Mm-hmm.
And I forget this lady's name, but I know she's a coach in the G League.
In the G League, okay.
In the G League. So the Hornets are looking at potential coaching prospects, and their first site was this young lady that is coaching in the G League. So so the teams are looking for that female head coach to be, the one in the NBA, right?
Yeah, somebody brought that to my attention today. Because I don't know who the woman is. Honestly, forgive my ignorance. I assume they was talking about Becky Hammond.
Forgive me too, because I saw it. I saw the face. I read the name, and it just doesn't. I didn't put in my notes to really remember the name, but I do recall seeing the article, and I do recall that that's something that the Hornets are looking into.
Well, that's what's up, and I hope she get a shot. But another thing I just dawned on me while you was talking in reference to Don Staley.
Yeah.
Look, man, why not go to the WNBA?
Good point.
She
would command the respect. The players would welcome her.
I'm speaking more so because I think she's such a important part to women's basketball. Like the come up, obviously, Kaden Clark, obviously Andrew Reese and LSU, and the coach at LSU, obviously. But Don Staley is another person that you kind of can't leave out of the conversation when you're talking about people who bring in women's basketball back. Like she right there with them. You know what I'm saying? So we would like to see it maybe in the WNBA, and maybe that helps with the financial situations, the media, the marketing aspect of the WNBA. Louis Vuitton Don in the WNBA sound sexy to me. So that would definitely be a good move. That would definitely be a move. I don't know how it would pan out, but it would definitely be a move. So look, I just feel like while the honest hat per se, the proverbial honest hat, like it's time for people to start making what are the next steps of enhancing or improving on the awareness of women's basketball. Because I mean, let's be clear. I don't know if I don't know what's going to happen next year, but it seems as of right now, men's college basketball is second fiddle to women's college basketball. So how do you keep that
and you want to know the proof? 18 million people tuned into the women's championship game, whereas 14 million tuned into the men's game from last night. First time in history that's happened.
Meanwhile, and that game was like at 3:00 or something like that.
Yep, 3:00 in the afternoon on a Sunday. Yep. Yep. In my opinion, it should be prime time. But
obviously, but it always take the corporations. It's the corporations seemingly with all the analytics and all that shit always seem to be the last people to know what's hot and what's not. So
and Sunday and on Sundays and especially the NFL, that's always a hot window to air live sports. Anyway, traditionally Sunday afternoons. So
but not now, not this time of year though.
Well, I guess it depends. I mean, I'm not saying that you're gonna get NFL numbers. I guess what I'm saying is that I think traditionally, Sunday afternoons, a lot of people are watching live sports. It's the reason why you're seeing NBA games on, Sunday afternoons. It's the reason why you see NHL games on a Sunday afternoon on a network. So obviously that's some pretty good real estate for all the sports, period. I mean, so maybe like you said, there's an algorithm out there and they know, is this the best spot? If it is, cool. If not, then let's take it to prime time and let's see what we can get.
Well, what I hate about corporations? What I hate about corporations is that they clearly don't go outside. They in a room full of a whole bunch of people around them because last year, women's college basketball was hotter than men's college basketball. But certainly this year, definitely. Certainly, it's one thing if you missed it last year, but to miss it this year lets me know that these corporations don't be outside. Because it's clear. It was clear. I mean, from jump that this was going to be the big. Like, I'm sorry, if Monday night is considered your primetime slot for college championship basketball, then they should have known to switch. The men's game should have been Sunday at 3, and the women's game should have been Monday at Monday night.
The men's game should have been on CBS. It's been on, and I don't know if you know this, but I think the past 2-3 years it's been on TBS, which we all know TBS is cable, and I know a lot more people have cable these days. But for the folks that don't have cable but do have like an antenna set up or a digital setup, everybody at least has CBS, right? So I'm just wondering why they decided to go the route of no longer putting the game on CBS and putting it on Turner. Like that kind of befuddles me a little bit.
Sure, but ain't CBS Turner?
No. CBS and CBS.
Oh, I thought so. Turner got TNT, TBS,
True TV. And they got a couple other networks, but as far as sports programming for Turner, it's TNT, TBS.
But then clearly there was a deal that was worked out before this year anyway.
Maybe, but if you remember, and I guess this is like the 13th season that they've done the partnership between CBS and Turner. Even in the beginning of the agreement, the final game was always on CBS. So this change happened maybe 2-3 years ago. Okay. So I'm just wondering why they elected to go that route. And good for TBS. I'm not, knocking TBS. That's good for them. But if you're a corporation and you're trying to get numbers, you would think CBS has the most audience, the bigger audience of the networks that they got in the deal.
Maybe, but I guess the assumption. Look, man, this is what I'll say. I don't know nobody under 50 who doesn't have access to TBS. I get what you're saying in the sense that they can get an antenna and do the CBS thing. But with internet and all that, man,
sure.
I just find
there's a I believe, and you said under 50, and
so over 50, sure.
The folks that are over 50, there's an audience over 50 that still somehow doesn't.
I can see them
have the cable.
Issue. Sure,
to have an issue, right? Correct. And then especially with all the streaming stuff that's been going on and things like that, they got to get the grandkids involved to show them how to do all that stuff. But CBS, and look, I get it. We're in different times. I just remember growing up, ABC, CBS, Fox, NBC, PBS, what was the WB back then, what was UPN back then. Those were the only channels we had if you didn't have cable.
Yeah.
And once you got cable, then you're able to, get all those channels in addition to what you had already.
I remember them times all too well not having cable back in the day.
Yeah. Facts.
That's facts. Yeah, but all that to say, shout out to UConn for sure. But in my book, special shout out to South Carolina and Don Staley.
Yep. I love what Diana Taurasi said on the Bird and Taurasi little simulcast that they had while the game was going. And she was asked the question. She said, is Caitlin Clark going to be, I'm paraphrasing, is Caitlin Clark going to be, good in the WNBA? And she came out and was like, look, it's all good being superhuman and you playing amongst 18-year-olds, but when you come into the league, you playing against some grown-ass women. Right. So, we're going to find out. So, and I love that. I love that.
What would you expect down to us? Right.
Like,
well, look, I ain't gonna lie. She could have been PC and been like, oh, she's gonna be so, because that's what most people do.
Sure.
Most people do say, oh, she's gonna be great and all that.
Come out with the heat. Yeah. Come out with the heat.
Yeah, I respect that. She definitely ain't say nothing wrong. I agree.
Come out with the heat. Let her know when you get there.
I'll be honest with you though. I'll be honest with you. I'm not saying Caitlin Clark is going to come in and well, let me say this. She's capable. I'll say that.
Yeah, of course.
She's capable.
Course.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
so,
Kelsey Plum was capable when she came into the league.
You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah,
and they showed a clip of Taurasi going up against Kelsey Plum that first go around. She knocked her down. So yeah.
Like, all right, but I mean, but you should be competitive. You're on a simulcast. It's kind of like not the official broadcast. So I mean, that's your time to kind of let your hair down, so to speak. So I mean, I ain't got no problem. Yeah, I ain't got no problem with it. Like, yeah, that's what's up. But hey, I tell you this. I know you elbow Kelsey Plum and all that. Hey, don't get your face shot off. That's all I'm gonna say, because Caitlin Clark might want to shoot your face off. That's all that
Hey, and guess what? Diana Taurasi, she gonna eat it, and she gonna keep being her.
Hey, but then you gotta pay respect. Like, you got you gotta keep that energy. You gotta go on that post conference and like, oh yeah, shorty a dog. Like, you gotta do that too, though.
So some good news. So we are streaming officially on our IG at Barbershop Sports Talk Podcast.
Hi, man.
Come on, man. Gotta be happy, man.
It's not that I'm not happy. Yeah, it's not that I'm not happy. Let me get this started right now. Washington Mystics. Andrew Reese has declared for the draft.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like I said a few weeks ago when I seen the mock draft, and you was like, "Well, she ain't declared." You know, hey, Mystics. Hey, Angel Reese.
Where they picking at? What the Mystics picking?
They're picking at 8. Okay. I saw another mock draft, and I feel like I reposted it on Twitter. But I saw another mock draft. And I don't know who this person is. I didn't think to screenshot their name. There is a person who believes that, and I was wrong. I thought they picked at 8. They pick at 6. This person believes that the Mystics would pass Angel Reese for somebody named J.C. Sheldon. And the Minnesota Lynx would end up drafting Angel Reese. Let me be clear, y'all. To Angel Reese and to the Washington Mystics. Come on to DC, shawty.
But that mean the Mystics got to trade up, right?
No. I'm saying I got it wrong. I thought that they were picking at 8. They're actually picking at 6. This mock draft has them passing on Angel Reese for somebody named J.C. Sheldon.
That's wild.
I don't know who J.C. Sheldon is. I don't know who J.C. Sheldon is.
But why wouldn't Angel Reese be in the top 3 at worst? Like, that's crazy.
I mean, this is just this one person's opinion. So, look.
Okay. That opinion is wrong, because Angel Reese should be a top 3 at worst. At worst, the top 3 pick coming out this draft.
Well, again, I don't know who these people are. I'm new to women's basketball.
What the hell?
Me. But this is the top 12. Or I guess that's the first round. Number 1, Caitlin Clark, obviously going to Indiana. The Sparks getting Cameron Brink. I don't know who Chicago Sky, Rakia Jackson. The Sparks, again, I guess they got 2 and 4. They get Camila Cardozo. Dallas Wings get Aaliyah Edwards. The Mystics get Sheldon. The Lynx get Angel Reese. The Sky, who have 2, they got 2 picks in the first, I guess. I don't know who this is. The Dallas Wings got, I don't know what's going on in trades, but 3 teams got 2 picks in the first round.
That's crazy.
But all that to say is that this is the second mock draft that I have seen that has her getting picked somewhere around where the Mystics pick. It's cool in DC, Angel Reese, is what I tell you. And Mystics, you need somebody like this on your team. Let's get it done. Let's not play the games.
Well, for your sake, I hope. I
need something to root for, man. The Wizards are trash, man.
Well, look, the Wizards are going to have a lottery pick as well, but
They'll be number 8. They'll be number 8 again. They'll get the 8 pick again. Like they always get the 8 pick.
like they screwed the Pistons in the last draft.
Yeah, like they'll get.
And what's the talent coming out? Like the talent isn't all that great.
We'll mess around, draft Bronny James.
Hey, I was gonna say I got something for you though, because Bronny did enter the portal. I guess with the option to go back.
Yeah, I didn't know that was an option.
I didn't know either, but it wouldn't surprise me if LeBron kind of made it that way. It wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah, when I saw that, I tweeted nepotism is fire.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. It must be nice. It
wouldn't surprise me. But should you think the Wizards could draft Bronny?
It would be so Wizards of the Wizards to draft Bronny James, who's averaging 4 points a game.
But the prize, we talked about it last year. The consolation prize is LeBron James.
LeBron James is going to retire if he goes to the Wizards. I'm just telling you, that's going to happen. If he goes to the Wizards, LeBron is going to retire and know that his dream is never going to happen.
Wow. That would be something. That would be some DC sports shit right there, bro.
Yeah, I'd be sick, bro. I ain't gonna hold you. I'd be sick.
Well, let's bring in the guest here. We got the brother here, Cordell Woodland, sports talk radio in Baltimore, host of the Shaking It Up Sports Show on 105.7 The Fan, covers Baltimore sports, Ravens, Orioles, Terps, all that good stuff. Also a DC native, also a Commanders fan and a Miami Heat fan. We'll talk a little bit about that. Cordell, man, thank you so much for coming through, man. How's everything? What's going on?
Yeah, man, I appreciate y'all having me. Everything's good, man. Another day here. I can't complain.
Yes,
no
sir.
doubt.
Yes, sir.
No doubt. If
I'm sorry, Trey.
What? Go ahead.
Cordell, where you from in DC, bro?
Oh, I'm from Southeast.
Yes, sir.
I grew up over there on Chaplin Street, right off Benning Road.
Okay.
Went to Plum Elementary for a little bit. So yeah, right up the street from the shrimp boat, right up the street from RFK Stadium.
Yes,
all of that, man.
That's what's up, man.
I was about to say the DC natives, talking at it. Yeah.
So yeah, I'm Good Hope Road, Anacostia High School, Fairmont Avenue. Yes, sir. Thankfully I lived there out in the Simple City for a couple of years, but thankfully I'm not there no more.
Right.
Yes, sir.
Well, I was telling Maestro that I had met you at Rita and Chelsea's kickoff party back in September, and if I didn't tell you then, I'll let you know now. To have your Black voice on the airwaves, mainstream, means a lot to Black people in this town. It means a lot to hear you, Rita, Rob Long. It means a whole lot to finally get Black voices on mainstream radio here in the city. So I just wanted to let you know that.
Yeah, I appreciate that, man. It's definitely not something, what I'm saying, I take lightly. I understand the dynamics. I go and I cover these teams and I go to these places and there's not many people there that look like me. And same thing, on radio and on TV. So I definitely don't take any appearance or any opportunity I get to get on air or anything like that for lightly at all.
No doubt.
So let's talk about your beginning, man. How did you get into covering sports?
Yeah, man. It's a crazy story. I've always had a love for sports. You know what I'm saying? I grew up playing sports. Football was my first love. So, from as early as I can remember, that's been something that I've been locked in on. And I grew up to listening to my father. I used to be in the car. My father would be listening to sports talk radio. He used to have a car phone, so he'd be calling into like John Thompson show and smoking out all of them.
The legend.
You know what I'm saying? And not realizing it, I think my birth for like sports talk radio was really happened during that time. I don't think I really realized it until later on in my life. But looking back on it, like that used to be a part of my everyday routine. On the ride home, we listening to I forget what the station was back then, but I think it was like WTEM or something like 570 back then. But yeah, that just used to be something we did every day. And I graduated high school and went to community college, and school was never my thing, to be honest with you. And I was no different from most young people going into college. You're trying to figure out what major you want to be in. You pick a major, then you end up switching. So I initially I initially went to school for criminal justice because I used to watch Law and Order like crazy. Like, man, I'm about to be in these courtrooms, but that was short lived. And ended up going and working in the federal government for a while, and I pretty much stopped going to school. And then a couple years in, the government was cool. I'm making good money. I got benefits and everything, but it honestly wasn't fulfilling for me. Like getting up early every day to go to a job I didn't like, to go work for somebody I didn't really like. And it just, I wasn't happy. And I was still young enough to where I still had the idea that I could do whatever I wanted to do. So I kind of just jumped on that, and I went to radio broadcasting school, which was like, it was a remote situation. So what they do is, the school was like based in LA, and they would just match you up with somebody that was in the field you wanted to go into that's in your area already. So they connected me with a dude that was working. I forget what the station was called, but it's a station that's like down by Adams Morgan. It's right in Adams.
Okay.
And he had like a Friday night, like late night show. So he was like a roster dude and everything. He ended up going back to like Nicaragua after a couple years and just leaving the whole country. But that was my guy. And he kind of really birthed the seed for me because I was listening to ESPN 980 all the time. And this is one of his side jobs was working at the Nationals Park. So like I said, I listened to ESPN 980 all the time. I used to call in all the time. I was a regular call on the John Thompson show and all of that. So they kind of knew me after a while as one of the regular callers. So Steven Strasburg is his debut. And my mentor, like I said, worked in Nats Park. So he got me in. And in the ESPN 980, they were broadcasting right outside the stadium in the bullpen. And so I told him that. And he went out there and like exchanged information with Chuck Sapienza, who is at that time was the producer for John Thompson's show. So Chuck knew my name because, like I said, I was always
called. Gotcha.
And Chuck is, I don't mean to cut you, and Chuck right now is your boss at 105.7 now, right?
He ends up being my boss at 105.7 The Fan now. So yeah, it's just crazy. Chuck brought me in on an internship, and I do the year internship unpaid. And this is during the Donovan McNabb year with the then Redskins. So after my internship, they bring me on as a paid employee. So I'm doing like some board op stuff. I'm producing. They were the flagship station for a lot of teams at the time. So I used to board op for a lot of the games. And then eventually they started letting me cover the teams in the area. So I'm mind you, I still have a government job at this time.
Right.
I do my government job. And in the evenings, I'd have to go to the Nats game, or I'm at the Wizards game, or the Hoyas game, or the Caps game, or something like that. And I'm covering all those teams, and it's crazy. I'm like 22, you know what I'm saying, covering all my favorite local teams in my area and stuff like that. And things were happening fast. So to be honest, I kind of took it for granted. I ain't gonna hold you. I kind of took it for granted at the time.
At 22, you're trying to live life,
realizing what you got at the time,
right?
So it's all happening so fast, and I don't even really realize what type of responsibilities I actually have with everything that I'm doing. So I end up, I think it was my 22nd, maybe 23rd birthday. I go to Miami, take off. I come back. I thought I took off that weekend that I came back. Turns out, I guess maybe I tried to and they didn't give it to me. Long story short, the station was the flagship station of the Baltimore Orioles at the time. and the golden sin in radio is no dead air. So I ended up like I didn't know I had to work, and it just so happened to be a new guy that was there trying to train. I guess he was supposed to be training with me.
Yeah.
And it get to about 30 minutes before the Orioles game start. And he like, yeah, can you open the door for me? I'm downstairs. And I'm like, bro, I'm not supposed to be working. And I checked the schedule. Lo and behold, they got me on the schedule somehow.
Wow.
Well, I had it. I was in. I'm right in Southeast. The station is in Rockville on Rockville. And it took like a good hour and some change to get there, and it was probably at least 30 to 40 minutes of dead air before they finally got somebody there to fix that.
Wow.
That was my first ever screw up, and it just turned out to be my last one at that station.
I know that,
Chuck didn't even want to let me go. He was just like, man, it's above me. Like I fought to try to keep you, but it was just so much money lost from commercial spots.
Right.
That ad money.
They was just like, nah, he gotta go. So I end up leaving that job, and at that point I was really at a crossroads in my life. Like, what am I about to do? Because it was so tough to get in, and now it's like just as fast as I was rising up, man, it was all gone, just that fast. So I still was stuck on not wanting to work in the government anymore. So I ended up leaving the government and going back to school. I went to Morgan State and did some stuff out there. And they had a seminar my senior year. And Chuck was one of the speakers. That was the first time I had seen Chuck since he had to let me go.
Right.
So he was all, it was all love. And he was just like, if you ever need anything, let me know. And I'm like, yeah, bro, I could use a job, He never even brought up what happened. For all I know, he probably forgot, but he ended up hiring me, and I worked my way up to the point to where I ended up being the producer for Inside Access, who was on from 2 to 6 Monday through Friday on the station.
Yeah.
And I knew I wanted to be an on-air guy, and Chuck knew I wanted to be an on-air guy. Right. He also knew I wanted to be in the field covering teams. So it got to the point to where I felt like I had kind of maximized what I could do at that point as the fan. And it seemed like they weren't going to give me a show, or it just seemed like nothing was about to change.
Right.
And so I ended up kind of just quitting that job. And I went to WEAA, which is the station that Morgan State owns, and they allowed me. And we had set something up with the Ravens where the Ravens allowed me to come cover them. And nobody did this. I was the first person that WEAA ever had credentialed to be able to go cover the Ravens. So that was pretty cool to be able to do that.
Now WEAA, they play music, right? Like they
do music. They do a bunch of different things. It's a lot of like political talk and stuff. It's a Morgan State driven radio station. So they do have like student on air personalities as well, but they try to do sports stuff. They try to do everything. They try to cover everything.
It's kind of like Howard University with WHUR.
Right.
Same thing. So they let me do that, and after that season, Chuck called me and he was like, look, man, if we could get you on air like next weekend. And I want to bring you in to cover not just the Ravens, but the Orioles. Like, we're going to do something different. I want to get you to be able to kind of be all over Baltimore sports. And from there, I ain't gonna lie. I mean, it was nerve wracking. Yeah. I didn't know if I could even handle all of that. It would have been so long. And then we're talking about two major sports teams and on air. And it's granted that show is by myself. So I didn't know what to expect.
Oh shit. Yeah,
that was the thing. And it took a while before I really got comfortable. Even now at times, I still have my moments to where it's like, man, I'm really out here just solo.
Yeah.
But it's cool. And I just like to tell the whole story because there are obviously lows in there, and it's some areas where I pretty much bet on myself to get to this point, and I still got a long way to go. There's still plenty more I want to do, but I do like to tell that because, especially in this field, people it's easy to feel like somebody just got there overnight or things, which is always great. And at least for me personally, it wasn't. It was definitely some moments where I didn't know if this field was really for me.
I'm learning, and hell, I'm 40, so I'm learning, man. You just gotta respect the journey and embrace it, man. But I'm gonna tell you, we've been doing this pod for almost 9 years, and when I tell you that anytime he be like, I can't do it, I said, well, bro, I can't do it because this is gonna be short. I cannot hold it down. I can't hold it down on the solo. Yeah, I can't. To be able to, it's a skill to be able to talk into a microphone and nobody talking back to you. That's a damn skill, bro. So I mean, definitely salute and respect to you, man, because I can't do that shit. I'm cool right here. Let's talk about the Commanders, man. Let's you a Commanders fan. And I'd be remiss if the couple of listeners that I know are listening and that tune into the show, majority of them are Commanders fans. So they can't wait to see me and be like, this nigga don't know what he's talking about, or So talk to me about the state of the Washington Commanders as you see it.
They're trying to revive themselves. And I feel like they've been trying to revive themselves for as long as I can remember. I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm at my wit's end with them. They like, and I've made empty threats in the past, but I'm dead serious on it this year. If them dudes leave the draft without Jaden Daniels or Caleb Williams, and Caleb is pretty much already gone to Chicago at this point. But if for whatever reason Chicago doesn't go Caleb Williams and they let him slip through their grasp, if they leave the draft without either of those two dudes, I'm out. I'm done. And look, and it may not even be that major in the grand scheme of things. People have already been like, well, you're not going to stick around to see how it unfolds. No. Wow. They have
really with the new ownership, even with the new ownership,
they've blown it. I don't. New ownership is cool and it was needed. Don't get me wrong, very much needed.
Yeah.
But it doesn't sell me on, now that we've got different owners, things are changing. Things are going to change. For all I know, they won't. I wasn't crazy about the Dan Quinn hiring the way everybody else was, me personally. They'll never say it, but I felt like they settled for what was left at that point. And everything else, I mean, I do like a lot of their off-season moves. It seems like, unlike years in the past where they have money, they didn't just blow it. They didn't just go out there and give out stupid contracts. They were very conservative. They were a lot of reasonable deals, just filling needs and getting depth, and no groundbreaking moves or anything like that. I mean, sure, people, the Austin Ecklers and the Bobby Wagners are big names, but these are guys that aren't what they used to be. And that's fine. I like the Bobby Wagner move because they needed a linebacker. Austin Eckler, it's cool if all he has to do is just be quarterback friendly on third downs, be able to catch the ball and extend drives, pick up first downs, and maybe he'll get back to scoring touchdowns the way he used to. But you're not needing a whole lot from them, but they need to hit on this pick. They have to hit on this pick. And I've been talking Jaden Daniels up since his freshman year at Arizona State. I mean, I saw it with this dude from day one. A lot of people are acting like this Heisman year was some flash in the pan. It wasn't. I've watched this dude throughout his college career. I've felt like he was one of the best throwers of the ball. I think he's the best mobile quarterback to come out since Lamar, to be honest with you. The only concern with Jaden is him understanding when to protect himself. But other than that, I don't think there's a throw he can't make. And I think he's by far the best mobile quarterback in this class. I mean, Caleb can move in the pocket, but Caleb can't. Caleb's not taking a 60, 65 yarder.
Right.
Jaden will outrun your entire team. So I think he could be a dude that really, we've seen rookie wide receivers take the league by storm over the years. I look at Jaden and feel like he could do it. But if they don't get him, man, I'm out. I'm not saying I'm gonna be a fan of anybody. I might just be a fan of my fantasy football team and cover the Ravens.
Hey, Cordell, you cover Baltimore sports, man. I got the fan application right here, man.
Don't do it.
I got the application right here, man. If you ever want to switch up, man.
And look, man, I'm a good fan to have. I'm a former season ticket holder. I got endless jerseys of the teams that they're not even calling themselves that no more. I got Redskins jerseys. I got football team jersey.
Yeah.
I'm done buying jerseys unless it's a Jaden. I buy Jaden's jersey that night if they draft him. I ain't gonna hold you. But other than that, I'm out. And I've been the diehard fan, and I've told some people this, and some people be like, "Oh man, you quitting on a team and stuff like that." And I have to remind people, like, bro, I'm older than you think I am. Like I've been following this team for years. This isn't just something petty and the last couple of years. Like, no, dude, these dudes have been trash for as long as I can remember. And I've watched these dudes break my heart over and over again. So there's only but so much I can handle. And like I said, I've made empty threats in the past, but this one, since they didn't get Lamar, and I wanted Lamar so bad, they didn't get Lamar.
Yeah.
And if they don't get Jaden this time, it's just like, you don't love me. You don't love me. You don't love me.
Well, let me say this, because I give the Commanders off season up to this point an A. I give them an A because I like the moves, and like you said, they didn't go out and get like the Albert Hainsworths of the world. Like if you remember that contract and all that, and
Bruce
how that him up, right? Bruce Smith. Like they didn't go crazy with the acquisitions, and I think a reason for that is because the guy that's pulling the trigger for you guys, which I thought was a great pickup, also was getting that guy from the 49ers organization to come into your organization and start to maybe put a little influence on everybody else there. So it starts there, getting the GM right. I think they got the GM right, which is why I think these moves that they made so far, they got right so far.
Yeah, I mean, Adam Peters helps. Now, I got to look and see if Adam Peters is the one that drafted Trey Lance, because if it wasn't for Brock Purdy, then we'd be having a total different conversation, I feel like, about the Niners after what they gave up to go get Trey Lance.
Right. Yeah, right.
Ended up going down. So, I mean, I do agree in the sense that he's coming from a prestigious organization that has shown they know how to not only build a championship caliber team, but actually get that team to that point. They haven't won the Super Bowl, but they're constantly there.
Yeah.
So it's kind of feels like the adult in the room to a degree, a little bit. So I definitely feel that. And just as much as it's been a revolving door for head coaches and quarterbacks, it's been the same for GM as well.
Exactly.
So yeah, you'd like there to be some camaraderie and some consistency with your pillars of your organization.
Yeah. So how do you feel about Sam Howell?
Look, I'm not for taking quarterbacks from a basketball school like that. I'm out on May, and I'm not even comparing May to Howe. I understand they're two totally different guys. Howe's a 5th round pick.
Yeah.
But Howe's got some traits. I will say that he's got some solid traits. The boy can throw the ball. He'll take chances. He's mobile. He's not afraid to use his legs and stuff. He doesn't process information fast enough, number one, which is why he leads the league in sacks. A lot of people, now granted, the Commanders' offensive line was not good at all, but a lot of that stuff is on the quarterback. I'm more times than not, depending on the situation, I equate sacks as a quarterback stat, because in the case of Sam Howell, where you not only lead the league in sacks, but you also lead the league in interceptions, I got to look at it like, bro, you don't know what you're looking at out there and you're confused. And then I'm watching them not even try to get your best receiver involved week in, week out. Terry McLaurin, I mean, he even said after a game that he was just out there running cardio. That's not something Terry McLaurin should say. And they've had quarterbacks like Taylor Heineke and guys like that could find a way to get Terry McLaurin the ball. For Sam Howell to not understand who his best weapon is, that's a big issue for me. So I think he's got some stuff there, but I was perfectly fine with them moving on for him, especially considering what they got in return for him.
Gotcha.
I mean, he ended up getting back more than what any of these other quarterbacks that were traded this offseason got in return. I think Howell got a third round pick in return this year. So that's just highway robbery.
Yeah, for real.
For the Commanders, for a guy that was a 5th round pick and just led the league in sacks and interceptions. I mean, I don't know what the Seahawks were doing, but I don't
know what they're doing.
That's crazy. But hey, so how much of the Sam Howell experience do you put on Eric Bieniemy? Because we've been, clamoring for Eric Bieniemy to get a head coaching job up until he got the coordinator job with you guys. And those first few weeks was looking pretty good as far as him throwing the ball and him leading the league and passing for a few weeks. And then there were some games where they needed to run the ball and they wasn't running the ball, like those 3rd and shorts, 4th and shorts. Like, how much of what's happened with Sam Howell do you put on Eric Bieniemy?
I mean, it's tough. We're talking. I think a lot of us kind of don't put enough stock into the quarterback and offensive coordinator relationship. It's a lot that goes into that. They're dealing with each other probably more than the quarterback is dealing with the head coach, depending on what type of head coach that is. If he's offensive minded, it may be different. Nick Sirianni, for instance, is very detailed with Jalen Hurts. So it all depends on the dynamic. But in that case, where Eric Bieniemy is pretty much the guy in charge of the offense, he and Sam are like this. So I think it was a situation where they were both trying to learn each other. And I think Eric Bieniemy's coaching style is an acquired taste, to be honest. He's a dude that's just not letting anything slide, and he's not being nice about it. And he doesn't feel like he needs to be nice about it. And so some people are accepting of that type of coaching and some aren't. And I think Bieniemy's fault would come into play if he realized that his style was not being recepted well by Sam and he kept doing it. Because at the end of the day, your job as the coach is to get the best out of your players, and it's for you to figure out how to do that. So you can't come to me and say, I got one coaching style and that's it, because then it's like, all right, well, are you fit for the job at that point? That's my issue. So I think it was the combination of a first-year starter in Sam Howell, who played in a division that had some really good defenses this year. Now, granted, he looked fantastic against the Eagles both times.
Right.
If you can get him and Bieniemy back just twice a year to play the Eagles, I'd be all right with that, because they torched them boys all year. But other than that, I mean, it was very inconsistent. So I think football is so funny. I think we always look for reasons to blame somebody. Somebody always got to take the blame. Everybody's quick to run to the quarterback, but I'm just a believer that it truly is the ultimate team sport, and there's so many dynamics that go into play and play a part into why whatever happens ends up happening. So I really think it's a combination of both. And while Dan was eventually out of the building is still toxic. I firmly believe that it was still a toxic play. It takes time to just because Dan's gone doesn't mean all the bad juju's gone. Like, it takes time to work through that stuff and to really build a whole new culture and all of that. So I just think it's what comes with playing in Washington, and that's a part of the stigma that they're going to have to get over, even with this new regime.
For sure, that's a big ass building to Sage, bro. Talk to me about talk to me about how you feeling about the Baltimore Ravens. Obviously, you cover the Ravens. What do you see them doing in the draft?
Yeah, I mean, I think their needs are pretty clear this year with them. It's first off offensive line. I mean, they've got 3 vacancies on the line. You got 2 guards, and they traded Morgan Moses back to the Jets. John Simpson also leaves. He goes to the Jets. Kevin Zeitler also is a free agent. So that's 3 spots right there. They do have Andrew Voorhees, a guard that they drafted last year, who ended up getting hurt either at the combine or at his pro day. But he still ended up doing the bench press and was like great, So they loved him. And we had today was the pre-draft luncheon. We call it the Liars Luncheon because you can't really believe much that's said. But where you talk to Eric DaCosta and John Harbaugh about the draft and really just about the offseason to this point and any other team building questions you may have. So offensive line is definitely probably number one. I would say for me, cornerback is probably number two for them right now in terms of needs. I mean, Brandon Stevens was great for them last year. I thought he turned out to be their best corner on the team when it was all said and done. I know people will talk about Ronald Darby, but in its totality, Brandon Stevens was there. He was the guy. At times, they got him shadowing people. I remember the Bengals game. He's shadowing Jamar Chase. So, and the Chargers game against Keenan Allen. So Brandon Stevens took a huge step forward this year. Marlon Humphrey, this was a kind of a down year for Marlon. He couldn't stay healthy, and when he was out there, you just didn't know what version of Marlon you were going to get.
That's the guy I could have saw them cut. Like seriously.
And it was talked about. I mean, a lot of people started to talk about it. I didn't think they'd go that far just because Marlon's track record has earned him at least somewhat of the benefit of the doubt. It was kind of the same thing with Ronnie Stanley, who was also bad this year. But we're talking about a guy who's a former All-Pro. And while the injury issues that Stanley has lead you to believe he probably won't get back to that All-Pro year in 2019, you still at least hope that you could get a Pro Bowl type of year out of Ronnie Stanley. So I think that's kind of the case with Marlon.
Or at least you could talk to him and say, hey, look, man, you've had these injuries over the past couple of years. We know you're not the same, but look, man, we need to free up some money, man. We gotta plug in some holes throughout the roster here, man. And I'm all for guys getting their money. I'm not trying to insinuate that guys take a pay cut, but if you're the Ravens and this is the kind of business you deal with, then these are the kind of conversations you have with them. And if Marlon decides, hey, look, man, I'm an old pro. I should be, like you said, I should be given the benefit of the doubt. Nah, I ain't taking no pay cut. Then if the Ravens got to do what they got to do, then, so be it.
I mean, that's pretty much how I think it went. It definitely, I don't know if it went that way in the conversation, but they went to Ronnie Stanley about a pay cut and he ended up taking that pay cut. I don't know if Marlon would do that. But he has another year like last year. I mean, he won't have many options.
Right.
So I mean, and they brought up, I mean, they brought back Arthur Millette, who I really like.
Love that move
for him for them last year. So Millette was really good, but I just think they need another young corner that just in case this is really it for Marlon, or just in case Brandon Stevens doesn't take another huge step forward. This division has a ton of wide receivers. You're going to need somebody on the outsides to be able to handle their business. And you want to keep that flexibility with Kyle Hamilton to still allow him to play some nickel stuff as well, play in the box, because that's really when he's at his best. But I think the Ravens will be fine. Ultimately, quarterback-driven league. Lamar Jackson's your quarterback. As long as he's healthy, they'll be fine. But that offensive line is going to be pivotal. I like the Derrick Henry signing. I think we all get people when we talk about a lot of positions, and the running back position is one of them. I think it's easy to start grouping guys together. Like, sure, for the most part, you don't want to sign running backs that are going into their 30s or running backs that have had a crazy workload throughout their career. But we got to acknowledge
it's a unicorn. This guy's a unicorn.
You know what I'm saying? And Derrick Henry's not a unicorn, then who is? Honestly,
right.
On him. Then are we just going to just make this blanket general statement that we're not giving any running back any chances once they're going into they're turning 30 years old? So I think it's a match made in heaven when you look at what the Ravens do well and what Henry does. I mean, I just don't see how it can't work. I think it's a benefit for the receivers as well, because the box is going to get loaded now. Now you get Zay, who really can't be guarded one-on-one. A lot of one-on-one opportunities. They've been talking up Rashad Bateman all off season, so he'll get one-on-one opportunities likely, and Andrews, same with them. So I just think it opens up their play action game tremendously. And maybe now with Henry, you'll get more under center stuff, which I don't think they'll go back to the Stone Ages. I think you'll still get pistol and shotgun. That's what the Ravens live in. But I do think they need some of that under center stuff, especially some under the center play action to really open up their deep passing game. There's no reason with a guy like Lamar Jackson that they don't have one of the best play action offenses in the league. That's going to change.
Yeah, I'm with you, man. For me, as a fan, I would like to see them address the offensive line in the first round. Moses went to the Jets, and we lost a couple of the offensive linemen, and Ronnie Stanley, who knows what he's going to be like this coming season. So I would like to see them address that in the first round. Instead of them trading back, I would like to see if there's a guy that's right there that, can help them out there. So I'm with you there.
Yeah, I mean, talking to DeCosta and them today, it seems like they're they're locked in on keeping that pick, but DeCosta's always been open to getting more draft picks. So if it's something, I've had a theory now where the two teams in the area could kind of help each other out, because the Commanders have multiple second round picks, including the second overall pick in the second round. You trade up into that 30th pick, maybe I think the Commanders have 3 or 4 third round picks as well. So toss in an extra third or something to get to that 30th pick, because the Commanders have plenty of holes they need to fill too.
Yeah.
And the Ravens, they move back only like 3 spots and get an extra pick. I think that's kind of a deal that I would have to imagine at some point will be discussed between the two guys.
Okay. Well, my 2 cents is I hope the Ravens do terrible next season.
This guy, in case you didn't know, this guy is a Pittsburgh fan.
Here we go.
Oh, okay.
So he's
hype these days.
Yeah, we definitely look different. I'm not going to jump out the window like I did last year. So
you are. You are.
I'm gonna stay humble. I'm gonna stay humble right now, man. I'm gonna stay humble.
Nigga, you lying, yo.
I'm gonna stay humble, bro. Look at me, man.
You lying.
Look at me, man. I'm gonna be humble, bro.
Come on, bro. You can't tell me getting rid of Kenny Pickett and getting Russell Wilson and Justin Fields ain't gonna get you hyped up to jump out the window.
I'm cooling, man. I'm cooling right now.
Pickett in general should have you jumping up and down.
Well, look, let's be clear. I say it every time it gets brought up. I never wanted to draft him.
Yeah, I don't know who would want that.
Yeah, I never wanted to draft him. I get it. I knew it was going to happen, so I had to ride with him. But I never wanted to draft him. I was fine being trash for 2 or 3 years with Mitch Trubisky and just being trash until we fall down into the 4th, 5th pick overall and go get a quarterback. But let's hope that we could get Justin Fields in the next 2 or 3 years, and he can learn how to. We can know if he's going to really be able to throw the ball in the NFL. So he'll have weapons around him in 2 years. So, that's the hope. Let me say that. That's the hope.
Hopefully.
Yeah, that's definitely the hope. I mean, I think we all believe that Russell Wilson is going to be a 2, 3, maybe 3 years at best stopgap, and let's get Justin Fields on get him out there. But fingers crossed, man.
Fields is the future. It appears that Justin Fields is. The future.
But I remember being asked in February how would you feel about Justin Fields, and it was like, I mean, if he came over to the team, cool. But I don't know for a fact that he's an NFL thrower yet. Like, he could throw the ball in the NFL yet. I don't know that for a fact based on what happened in Chicago. So I know bare minimum he'd be able to run for his life. I know that bare minimum. So if it came down to that, I'm confident that we can compete. But I need you to be able to throw the ball because I want George Pickens to stay.
It's the Bears, man. I can't. When it comes to quarterbacks, you can't judge them when they're in Chicago, man.
Yeah.
Well, they wasn't really playing to his strengths. I mean,
I agree.
They kept trying to make him be something he's not. He had some game, one of them against the Commanders, where we
did 4 touchdowns.
He's had his moments. It's just the consistency. I just think he needs a coach that'll believe in him, and I would have to believe Tomlin would be that guy. I think and they've got to figure out soon what they have in him, because this is his, this is the last year of his deal. They're gonna have to figure that out. So I really don't think Russ is gonna be playing for long this year. I think he may get halfway through and they gonna go ahead and
you think so?
I honestly think so. I think that's what's gonna end up happening. They got to give Fields a look at some point. And it's not that I think Russ will be bad, but I think it'll be a similar situation to, or not the same situation that was in Denver, but similar to where Russ is playing decent, but they're a mediocre team still. They're still just hovering over 500. And then now it's like, all right, well, if we're going to be a 500 team, we might as well give the kid a look and see if he can steal a game or two to, put us over the top. Maybe we sneak into the wild card or something, and we've got to see what we have in them. I do think it's something in the contract, though, to where maybe it's the Russ deal or the pick or the Fields deal. I got to look where if one of them play, I think over 51%, then that draft pick ends up going up around. It might be Russ. So we could see Russ get to like almost halfway in the season and they yank him out to keep that pick and to get
politics as usual.
Poor Russ, man. Poor Russ, man. Poor Russ.
That's
because last I checked, and them prices might jump, but we would at least have to pay Justin Fields $24 million next year at least if we pick up the contract. So I agree with you that
to commit to that,
which is a bargain
commitment to him right now.
Yeah, but it would definitely be a bargain at quarterback. It would definitely, I agree. But the thing is that, but then after that, you gotta pay him. I mean, or at least you're gonna have to make a decision.
Not immediately though. No.
They got 2 years. Right.
Yeah.
So, because I believe that 5th-year option is going to be $22 million actually. So they'll be fine for the next 2 years. But he get on the field and go crazy, then now you're talking about something different. But if you only do it for 1 year, maybe we can get something budget friendly, because I mean he don't ball for 1 year unless anything short of a Super Bowl. You're not gonna push him from 24 million to 40 million, you know what I'm saying, or $50 million. I don't think
these quarterbacks crazy, man.
Yeah.
Crazy. I don't know.
Say Daniel Jones got money though.
Exactly. So. Like they trying to strike while the iron's hot. So they find a team everybody's desperate for a quarterback. Everybody is.
That's what you gotta hope, Maestro. That's what you gotta hope. You gotta hope that you don't run into a New York Giants Daniel Jones situation where it was his final year. They declined the option. It was that 4th year. They went to the postseason. That was a Saquon Barkley offense, right? But just because he beat Minnesota, who was ripe for the picking in that playoff game, he beats them, and we got to keep Daniel Jones. Let's give him $40 million a year. You got to hope that they don't make the same mistake the Giants made.
Man, you better say that $5 million and get you another player, man. Get that man 35 and stop playing these damn games. Con ain't going for that shit, man. That's a ride with my man. He ain't going for that shit, man. Let's talk a little basketball, man. And you a Heat fan.
Yeah.
And I don't want to talk about my team, so don't. I'm a Wizards fan, unfortunately. Ain't nothing to talk about. I don't got ain't nothing to talk about on my side. But we can talk about your Heat, and I'm sure Trey's gonna find some way, even though this ain't his interview, to slide the Knicks into the conversation. So the Heat, man, where they seated at right now?
8th, right?
8th right now.
Okay.
Like a game or so, I think out of the 6th seed. Miami, I don't know about Miami this year. I'm gonna be honest with you, man. Normally this the time of year where we start to get hot, but we're not getting hot right now. We're kind of still just staying the course a little bit, just floating. Jimmy hasn't really heated up yet. So I'm starting to wonder if it's going to happen this year. Tyler Hero just got back off injuries. So we'll see if he can kind of get hot going into the playoffs. But I still love Bam. I love the construction of the team. It just sucks that we weren't able to get Dame, because Dame was, I think, what they were really trying to do.
That was the consensus out there, yeah.
Yeah, so that sucked not getting him. And They ended up getting Terry Rozier before the deadline, which is cool. A guard, some scoring on the perimeter, which is what they need.
It's a good pickup.
But I just Miami's been losing to teams that they have no business losing to.
Mm-hmm.
They're not looking good against some of these playoff caliber teams. So I'm concerned about Miami. I know that we was a team that went from the play-in and all the way to the finals last year as an 8 seed, but I just don't know if we'll be able to have that same type of magic this postseason, to be honest.
Yeah, you don't think Jimmy Butler tired of that shit, man. Like Jimmy Butler tired of like look, you start the cooking and who was it? Caleb Martin and
Max Strus.
And then you get rid of all of the pieces that kind of Gabe Vincent is another guy. Then you get rid of all of them, and then say, all right, Jimmy. Now I know we had you a little bit of help last year, but this year I'm gonna need you again to just put this entire team on your back and basically average 85 in the playoffs.
I mean, I think we got some young talent though. It's definitely they letting the young boys play this year. The kid Jovic who we drafted a couple years ago. I like him.
That kid Vasquez.
Vasquez, I like him as well. But he was another one I think it got hurt at one point this season. So I mean, it definitely didn't change a lot. Tyler Hero getting hurt and missing a lot of time this year definitely doesn't help. Still got Duncan Robinson, who I do like. He's definitely matured his game. He'll put the ball on the floor and attack the basket now, as opposed to just being a spot-up shooter before. But yeah, it is still like Jimmy has to be the guy to carry the scoring. Bam does a lot already. Bam does everything. I love Bam. I do. But him and Jimmy alone aren't enough. And the rest of these guys are cool. I didn't mind them moving on from some of those guys because people like Gabe Vincent and Caleb Martin, I think, is still there. But Max Strus, they did let Max Strus go. I mean, it sucked a little bit because those guys were a big part of, what Miami has been the last couple of years, but they maximized and then some what those guys could give them. So I was okay with moving on because those dudes weren't, supposed to be great players to begin with.
Right.
So you pretty much got more out of them than you should have, to be honest. So it is what it is. If they felt like it had ran its course, I kind of gotta believe them and trust that their player development will still be as good as it always has been.
Cordell, I'm not falling for it, Cordell. The Miami Heat, they do this somehow. I got a theory, man, and from last year, y'all was lining up to play somebody in particular. Y'all was like, oh, we got the Bucks in the first round, and y'all beat the Bucks before in the bubble, right? Yeah. So they was lining them up right, because ain't no way you lose to the Hawks in the play-in and then barely beat the Bulls just to get the 8 seed to be like, all right, and then we about to turn it up.
And then start smoking on Giannis pack.
Right. Like,
and then start smoking on Giannis pack. I said,
people going to talk about Giannis getting hurt, but Giannis was still putting up crazy numbers in that series. And they ran through them. The people, they thought the Knicks was going to give them trouble, ran through them. And Boston, it shouldn't have even gone game 7. It should have got Boston out of there for real.
Quick,
but they played around with them and let them push it to 7. But yeah, I mean, last year was just something. It felt like the bubble again, where they got hot and Jimmy was just unguardable and the shooters are hitting and the offense was just crisp and defensively they were locked in. I mean, look, nobody would love for it to happen again more than me. It's just tough for me to see it with the way that they've been playing right now. But to your point, last year losing, I mean, once they lost to the Hawks in the play-in, I'm like, oh man, it's done. It's done.
Yeah.
We can't beat the Hawks. Like, we might as well get up out of here then. And they proved me wrong.
What's your ceiling though for this year? Because the Eastern Conference is minus Boston. Everybody from 2 to 8 is like within 4 games, 5 games, to be something honest, crazy like that.
If Miami gets hot, I don't fear anybody in the East. I honestly don't, and that includes the Bucks. That includes the Celtics too. I still think, even though the Celtics were I thought a better team than us last year. They didn't play like it, but they had a better roster. It's always the case with them. They always have a great roster. Are they going to show up and take care of business? So I don't buy the Bucks. I honestly don't. They're low. They're even more loaded this year.
Nah, they right. They right for the picking though.
Like they see Jimmy and us coming in again. You know, who am I to not believe that they ain't gonna see ghosts and kind of just fall again? I mean, until they show they can beat these dudes, I'm not picking against them. But yeah, I mean, if Miami gets hot, I do think the Eastern Conference is wide open. I mean, you don't trust the Cavs anymore. Orlando's a cool story, but
they're young. They're young.
It's a different beast. It always shows itself to be that. The Knicks can't. I mean, the health issues with the Knicks, and I'm not a Knicks guy at all.
Now talk your shit to him. No, talk to this dude.
I didn't go hold you, bro. The Knicks people kill me when it comes to the Knicks, man, because I feel like we always know they're like almost like the Cowboys of the NBA.
I've heard that before.
We know where this story ends. We know how it ends, and yet everybody talks. And Stephen A is a big problem because he gasses it. He gasses it and make the year. I'm believing. Like, come on, are you really believing? Like, I don't know. The Knicks get hot, but every time you get in the postseason, it's the same thing. And I don't think that they'll be able to play the team ball that's necessary in the postseason to really beat teams, especially offensively. They love their ISO guys. I mean, it might be a blessing that Randall ain't there because he can at times just really be a killer offensively.
Yeah, I've heard that today. Like I heard somebody on radio today say that there's actually a situation where the Knicks can match up with the Celtics in a sense that Randall's not there. So Randall's not there to be able to not necessarily ball hog, but Randall can be turnover prone. I'm meaning in the sense that Randall is a turnover machine in certain moments, and he's not gonna allow the other guys to be able to space the floor. Is what I'm trying to get at. So
because his ass always somewhere outside the paint.
Yeah, well, that too, but when he's in the paint,
player at this point. I mean, he's a negative on defense. He's a rebounding machine. I'll give him that. And he can score the ball. Like I've actually been a big fan of Julius Randle throughout his career, but I think that's a team that has too many guys that are just like, I got to go get mine at times. And when Randall's there, it's really like over the top because he's.
You think so? You think this Knicks roster right now?
I don't think they play that way as much. Definitely not as much as they did last year. They play more team. They play more together now. But I think if Randall's there, it kind of is easy to slip back into what that was because he's the guy. I mean, I know Brunson is the guy, but Randall, we get that ball. That's it.
I can see that.
It stops. But I like Brunson. Some elements of the Knicks team I do like, but I just can't get with. I've never been able to really get with the Knicks, and I know a lot of Knicks fans, and they're the reasons that I don't really rock with the Knicks.
I temper expectations, right? So as a fan and seeing what they did last year, coming off of missing the playoffs the previous year, and then getting knocked off by the Hawks, the year after the bubble. This year, the expectation for me is conference finals. It's conference finals because you look at Milwaukee. Bruh, I can't tell you how bad I want the Bucks in the second round, bruh. Like I'm literally hoping we could get that 2 or that 3 seed right now. You don't know how bad I want Milwaukee right now. Like I said, Boston is a standard right now. And it's everybody else after that. It's everybody else after that. And Maestro had made a mention, a few weeks ago. Can you trust Boston in certain situations? Because we've seen the Celtics, caught eating their food. You know what I mean? So
I just don't think they fear anybody but Miami in the East. I feel like everybody else in the East, they feel comfortable enough to go out there and still play free. Miami just makes them think for whatever reason. Like I'm acknowledging Boston's the more talented team, but it's just something about the way that Miami plays, that gritty and just in your face, and they come in to bully you. And I just think it's something about that makes Boston quiver. But they can be themselves against Philly. They can be themselves against New York and even Milwaukee. Like I don't think they'll have a problem going out there and trashing Milwaukee. I honestly don't. I think they run through them, but Miami is just like that ghost of old man past. I just think that's the one team psychologically that will cause them to maybe not be at their best.
And
so
what's the ceiling? I'm about to say, and I go hold before he tell you the ceiling. I go a step further. I think Milwaukee fear the Heat. I think the Knicks fear the Heat, and more importantly, Jimmy Butler. I think it's solely Jimmy Butler. I think Jimmy Butler be talking to all three of these teams crazy. So it's like and it gets to him for some reason. I mean, Jimmy Butler has always been that way. He's always been that kind of X factor. Like for some reason, he ain't quite a star, but he's like that dude that everybody know. If it come down to it, he might steal a game, and he gonna talk to you crazy while he's doing it. And so it's always dangerous for I mean, like it's been for since he's been in Miami. Dangerous. Like if you let him in, you mess around and get upset. And I think the entire Eastern Conference knows that about the Miami Heat. So it's better you don't let them get in.
They know after last year. If they didn't know before, last year definitely showed them. I mean, I don't think people are going to come in with their guards down against the Heat, and if they didn't know that by now, I don't know what to tell them. But in terms of feeling, I mean, the way I'm feeling right now, just get out of the first round, bro. Just get out of the play-in. And get it. Hopefully you don't even have to deal with the play-in, but the way it's shaping up, I don't know. I don't know. I'm kind of preparing myself to be in the play-in again. But get out of the play-in and get hopefully through that first round. I mean, but if you end up sneaking in, I mean, right now, what the 1 and 2 seeds is Boston and is in Milwaukee. That's the second seed.
Yeah, Milwaukee's the 2 seed and Orlando is the 3.
So you get Milwaukee again. I mean, Milwaukee will sit there and shoot themselves out the game, and they ain't defending nobody. So it's like, you could beat them just by being a more disciplined team than them. And I fully expect their exposure to coach circles around Doc Rivers. I mean,
I was about to say, because if the Bucks is up 3-1, the first thing people are gonna point at is Doc. That's the first. That's the first thing they're gonna point at.
Doc's in a bad spot, but he took the job. I don't want to hear no excuses. And you know, this could kind of seal his fate, to be honest with you, in terms of his career as a coach. I mean, I don't know. He seems to always get a job, but
I was gonna say, I don't know if it seals it, bro. Because I mean, we thought it was sealed when he left Philly.
Like, at what point do you realize that Doc Rivers is not the guy to get you over the hump? I don't know what these teams got to see. And it was a bad decision to move on
from Adrian Griffin.
That was just irresponsible and unprofessional, to be honest with you. Don't grab Doc Rivers off TV. Like, what do you expect him to do? The dude was consulting him behind closed doors, while you on TV calling games. It seems weird, man. I didn't really like how any of that went down.
I'm gonna say it. Doc Rivers snaked that man out his job. I said he was telling the Bucks the whole time. This nigga don't know what he's doing. Go ahead, give me a job. Go ahead, get me up in here.
And then try to dress it up when he got the job. Like, yeah, man, he put the Bucks for ownership and front office on blast. Like, he was talking about, like, I told them I don't think they should hire me. Like, I don't think this is a good move. This isn't
shame on the ownership.
Yeah,
shame on them.
It is.
Shut your ass up, Doc.
Shame on the ownership for that. That's on them. But nah, you got to feel good about Miami though. Like in this Eastern Conference, and you know what's been shaping up to be 1 through 8. Like I think if you're the Heat, hell, I think if you're somebody like Cleveland, I think you got to look at it and be like, ooh, we might beat we might beat Milwaukee. If you're the Pacers, you might look at Milwaukee and be like, yo, we can run these guys out the building. And they've done it throughout the regular season. And I know regular season doesn't mean much, but Indiana can put up some points in a hurry too.
I don't know how much I can believe in Indiana anymore. They just I've kind of lost all.
They're young. They're young. I'll say this about them. They're young. They got a veteran coach that's won a championship in Rick Carlisle. They got one of the best point guards in the league. Halliburton can get you involved any way he can. I just think the thing that's going to kill them is them niggas play no defense. That's the thing that's going to kill them.
They want to track me.
I don't believe in nobody but the Celtics, Milwaukee, and the Heat. Everybody else, if we talking about championship, if we talking about going to the finals, I don't believe those are the three teams for me.
Yeah,
Milwaukee, even Milwaukee. You just basing it off of pedigree.
Off talent.
I mean, Giannis is still Giannis.
Okay.
Dame is still Dame. About that at some point, that Dame and Giannis and Middleton and those.
Okay.
They too good to not put up a fight. Like I'll give them that. I don't expect them to go, but so far, but yeah, I mean, talent alone.
Pedigree. I can see that. But
to be honest, I think everybody in the East is just playing for second best because I do believe that the Nuggets are running it back. I do. I don't see anybody that's better than them dudes in the 7-game series. They play at their pace. They force you to play at their pace. They play defense. They stretch you out offensively. They got, in my opinion, the best player in the NBA right now. And at the same time, he might be the best teammate of all time. Man. I mean, this is a dude that's so unselfish and really forces you to guard the other 4 guys on the floor. You just don't see superstar players like that really make you focus to organically get other people involved. Like that puts so much stress on the defense. And I watched Miami go through it last year. I mean, you just don't know who to guard. You don't know who to guard. And as soon as you let him go one-on-one, he's going to kill you every time. So I just don't see anybody beating those dudes if their stars stay healthy.
I think there's 3 teams. I think there's 3 teams out west that I give a chance to knock Denver off. The Clippers, I'll give you with the best. I think they got the best second unit in the league. I'll give Dallas a shot with Luka being a dog, and Kyrie's been. I don't know if you guys been watching lately, but Kyrie has been balling these last few weeks, and that's a duo that's going to be hard to stop. And they do got some guys that could defend in that front court. And the third team, if somehow they could get Cat back, the Timberwolves got that size that could be a matchup nightmare for Denver. And they got Anthony, and they got Ant-Man.
Ant-Man's a dog. I love Ant-Man, but I do not believe in their bigs, even if Cat's there. I don't believe in Gobert. I've never believed in him, even as a defender. I just think he'll be lunch.
And I'm sorry, and I don't call Cat a big.
He don't like to play like one.
I was gonna say he don't like to play one.
I like Cat as a scorer, but
sure.
I just think that maybe I think Minnesota won't be. It won't be the same story that happened in Sacramento last year, where they were the young team that overachieved and they were bounced right away. I think Minnesota's better than Sacramento was last year.
I agree with that.
Minnesota will be bounced easily. I think Minnesota could beat the Warriors. I think
they could beat the Lakers.
I think they could beat the Lakers for sure. I actually agree. Outside of Dallas, just because their style of play. Whole season, I just don't. I don't think it's going to work. But I'll give you the Clippers and Minnesota as being the 2 threats to Denver. I could definitely see that both teams can run up and down the court. Both teams have their athletic guys. They can stretch you out, and they have their star players are good enough to, like, if Paul George wants to take over that series,
exactly.
They could do it. If Anthony Edwards wants to take over that series, he could do it. So I do trust their stars. Whereas, and you're right, Kyrie has been balling. I just don't know if Luka just and Luka's a baller too.
He a dog. Luka a dog too. Yeah.
I just don't think he plays for Luka. I that's my issue. I think Luka plays for Luka.
I'm not mad at that.
I can see that. I can see that.
I just don't think he's the type of guy that's going to get you far into the postseason.
But he can control the pace of a game, though. Luka can control the pace of a basketball game. That's something you really need.
But Joker's a better pace controller.
Yeah,
that's true too. Yeah,
he's just better at it.
Yeah.
He understands the dynamics of his team. Cordell, man, we got one more question for you, man. This is the I guess the most controversial question we ask. We asked you to give a top 5. We're going to ask you to give the top 5 Commander players of all time. Before you do that, I want everybody to know if we were proficient in StreamYard, we would be posting your @ name all over. Well, I guess it's there already. So
it's there.
So, but we still want you to say it for the people that can hear it, so everybody can hear it in the back. Because if this list is trash or unacceptable to somebody, I don't want to hear that shit. I don't want to hear it. Trey don't want to hear it. We would rather listeners go straight to the source and say, "Hey, that list you gave on the Barbershop Sports Talk podcast was absolute shit, and I don't know where you got your sports advice from."
So they got to be in order. Am I naming them in order?
You don't got to be in order.
Cool. That makes it easier. All right. So no.
And it's your list. It's your list. Remember that.
No order. My top 5 Commanders. Sean Taylor's on that list without question.
Respect.
Daryl Green is on that list without question. I'm going to put Art Monk on that list.
Okay.
I'm putting Brian Mitchell on there.
Okay.
And for my last one, I'm stuck between Doug Williams and Charles Mann. I was a big Charles Mann guy as a kid, but my man Doug did it for the cause.
Right.
It was bigger than us. So I'm gonna put Doug on that list. So I got Sean, Daryl Green, Brian Mitchell, Art Monk, and Doug Williams.
I ain't gonna hold you. I think that might be the safest. Not even in a bad way. Meaning you're not gonna get no ads. That might be the safest top 5.
That's the great list.
That's great legends. You can't go wrong with. And it's quite a few guys that I felt like I could add on there. Like I mentioned, Charles Mann. I'd love to put
Clinton Portis,
Clinton Santana for sure.
Santana Moss. That was my guy.
Favorites of all time for real. I mean, I put Art on there because he won the Super Bowl, and you know what I'm saying. He was like one of the guys that I thought revolutionized the wide receiver position. But Santana was a dog for the Redskins at the time. So I mean, it really sucks to not put him on there, but. Yeah, Art got the ring.
Art got the ring, and I get this at work at my day job every day. Art Monk was the guy before Jerry Rice that was doing all this, and I get that every time. Anytime an Art Monk conversation come up, Art Monk was the one that did it before Jerry. Before Jerry, it was Art Monk.
Art was a killer, boy.
Yeah. I said, all right, bro. I said, you got it, man. For sure. Cordell, first of all, we appreciate you, man, for stopping past, hollering at us, man. It's always good to hear somebody from DC that know what they're talking about, particularly about Redskins / Commander conversations. It's always, and not that we haven't had people before that didn't know what they was talking about, but sometimes we didn't. Simply put, no shade to nobody. It's a different cloth. Everybody got their opinion. It's just a different cloth. Before we let you go, man, plug anything you want to plug.
Yeah, man. Appreciate y'all having me on for sure. This was definitely cool. People can follow me at Cordell Woodland, just like it says there. That's my @ on Twitter and Instagram. You could catch my show, Shaking It Up Sports, on weeknights on 105.7 The Fan. If you're not in the Baltimore area or even down into DC, because the station goes out there as well, you could get it on the Odyssey app. Download the Odyssey app. It's a free app. Search 105.7 The Fan, and my show will come up on there. Also do the One and Drive podcast with Rita Hubbard. We dropped a new episode today. I'm sorry, we're dropping it tomorrow morning. We recorded it today, so we'll drop that tomorrow morning. So you can download that anywhere you get your podcast from. So yeah, busy time of the year. We got the draft coming up. So football is kind of right around the corner, but I cover the Orioles as well right now. So very busy with them also.
Yes, sir. Salute,
no doubt.
Man.
No doubt. Hey, Cordell, man, this was fun, bro. Definitely got to get you back on here at some point in the year, man, for real.
For sure, bro. Appreciate y'all, man.
All right, man. Be safe out here.
Y'all too.
Yes, sir.
All right. Appreciate it. The homie Cordell Woodland right there, 105.7 The Fan in Baltimore. Make sure y'all check the show out weeknights. Good stuff. Good stuff from Cordell, man. And yeah, man, I forgot the whole DC thing, and I was like, I gotta let you get your DC thing in there. So
yeah, shout out to the city. And Meek Mill, stop talking crazy on Twitter, man. Stop doing that, man.
Okay, I don't know what that was about.
Don't worry. if he hears, then he knows.
Stop
talking crazy on Twitter, man. Stop talking crazy, man. You let your beef be with Wale. Stop talking crazy about the city, sir.
Crazy.
Stephon Diggs is traded to the Houston Texans. My God.
So what is this? Is Texans Chiefs in the AFC Championship game? That's what I keep hearing, right?
Look. Hey, shout out to the homie T. Hey, girl, they ain't going this year.
Look, we got time for to cover the Bills side of it. We got time for that. I want to praise.
They are not going to the playoffs this year.
I want to praise the Houston Texans, D'Amico Ryan, CJ Stroud. Shout out to the GM. Shout out to the ownership group.
Yeah.
Shout out to everybody that's been making moves. The free agency period for the Texans, A+ with the Danielle Hunter pickup.
Yeah.
With some other moves they made.
They got Danielle Hunter on one side, Will Anderson on another side, at pass rushing. They got Joe Mixon at running back, along with Dalton Schultz at tight end, Stephon Diggs, Tank Dell, and Nico Collins.
Yep.
They should do damage.
Yeah,
any injury, they should do damage.
I don't see how they don't win the AFC South at this point. It's crazy because we said this about Jacksonville a year ago after they kind of came onto the scene, and now
they might be the worst team in the division.
They might, it's possible that even with the Titans moves,
right?
I thought the Titans made some solid moves. Jacksonville is in some trouble in that division. But yeah, man, I don't see how they don't win the AFC South at this point. And if you want to tell me that we're looking at a Chiefs-Texans AFC Championship game, as a football fan, I can't argue the point, but obviously as a Ravens fan, I look at it and I say, okay, let's go.
That's a lot. That's a lot to cover. That's a lot.
It is a lot to cover. That's why Cordell was saying about them looking at corner position.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're definitely going to need it for certain in this conference. So now we can talk Buffalo Bills on this side of it. Yeah, this is bad. This is bad. This is bad. And it's not just Stephon Diggs, because they had to cut a lot of their defensive players. Mm-hmm. Trey White, Jordan Poyer.
Yeah.
They had to trim. They lose Gabe Davis to Jacksonville.
Right. I was going to say Gabe Davis gone. Yeah.
They've lost a lot of their players. Now they still do have Milano. I know Milano's important to that defense. Obviously Josh Allen. We'll see how much he regresses, because I think the narrative with Josh Allen was that once he got Stephon Diggs, that's when Josh Allen took off as a quarterback. Now that he's not there no more, now we got to see what they do. Now, does Joe Brady decide, this James Cook situation, this style of play kind of work for him down the stretch?
Yeah, but you can't really. No.
Now, obviously, I think they'll buffer their running back room. I think they'll do that.
I don't think. The fact of the matter is that their issue is no longer the running back room. Their issue is the wide receiver room. They lost their 1 and 2 wide receiver.
And they're probably going to invest in the draft, probably.
Yeah, but then you're asking. I don't know where they draft that off the top of my head, but look.
Oh, they're drafting in the 20s.
Yeah, obviously, right. I mean, I didn't know based on Trey. I don't know. I don't know what their situation is. Yeah. But with that being said, the likes of you drafting a Stephon Diggs in the first round, if you go, even if you're deciding to go wide receiver, because it's not like that's their only hole. Yeah. I mean, the wide receiver class is deep, so you might want to not try to draft wide receiver to the second round because you got defensive holes that you need to fill. So it's an interesting strategy. But they're going to have issues next year. Miami lost pieces, but they ain't lose that many pieces.
So you got them worse than Miami?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. I haven't really thought about it that much to see who was the better team. I haven't really thought about it that way. I'll say this in regard to Buffalo, and then I got to comment about the division as a whole. The Bills, I think Brandon Ayuk is still out there somehow. I think the 49ers.
Well, they didn't release him.
They didn't release him, but didn't he request a trade? I thought
maybe.
Okay.
I don't. Yeah, maybe. I know.
Yeah, his name keeps.
I know he wants a contract.
Okay. Yeah, his name keeps getting talked about as a potential
he's due a contract
trade somewhere. So if that's still on the table for the 49ers, if you're Buffalo, I don't see how you don't investigate into that.
But I'll be honest with you, I don't see. I mean, I don't know what the 49ers salary cap situation is. Mm-hmm. I can't fathom. I mean, I've been wrong before. I can't fathom that they don't get a deal done for Brandon Ayuk. I can't fathom that they don't get that done.
I don't know what the cap space situation is.
I don't know either. But I mean,
there's a lot of guys with some big money on that roster though too.
That's true too.
So I would imagine that they don't have a lot of cap space, and that if they were to pay Ayuk, that they would have to make some moves elsewhere on the roster to do so.
Mm-hmm. They can't lose Brand. I'm sorry, bro. They can't lose Brand.
I agree with you.
I can't see them competing for a Super Bowl.
They're arrogant enough to do it.
They are arrogant enough to try.
To trade them.
They are certainly arrogant enough.
They're arrogant enough to do it. Yeah.
You're right about that.
Yeah. Right about that. I can see them doing it, even though to us it may not be the best idea for them to do so.
They are certainly arrogant enough. I agree with.
Yeah. So, and as far as the division goes, I look at the Jets' moves, and I'm not ready to say that it's the Jets' division to lose yet, because they still got some holes. They still got some holes to fill.
Well, off rip, because maybe I'm missing something.
Yep.
What did they do that was so spectacular?
They traded with us to get Morgan Moses. They got some offensive line help.
Okay.
We know the situation with Aaron Rodgers and getting them back. Who's the tackle with Dallas? Tyron Smith. They did sign Tyron Smith. Granted, he is a vet and he's older, but if you're the Jets, I think you make that move, right?
Yeah.
You make that move, right? So, and I they signed somebody else. They had a good offseason. I'll say the Jets had a good offseason, and I think that when you look at what they had in addition to what they've acquired, Breece Hall, Garrett Wilson still your number one, and I think they're gonna have to address the number 2 spot, wide receiver in a deep draft that's coming up. Yeah. I think that when you look at their roster compared to the Miamis, the Buffaloes, and I'm not even going to mention the Patriots, they're just building the whole thing.
Well, because the reason why I say it, because on paper, and again, and I know you just told me you hadn't really put a lot of thought into it.
Yeah.
Miami still got Tyreek Hill. Miami still got Mostert, still got Waddle. You know, I mean, say what you want about Tua, but he's a decent quarterback. I mean, I don't know he's a top 10 quarterback. But
offensively, they'll be fine.
Yeah, offensively they'll be fine.
Defense is, I think, where they got the most questions at.
Sure. Xavier Howard was cut. Jalen Ramsey's still there. Chubb is still there.
Chubb is going to be coming back off an injury. Yeah, we'll see how that works out. But I mean, he'll be there.
They lost some pieces, but I don't know. This team should still score points.
And they should score points. And if they are about it, they should be under the most pressure to win the AFC East. I mean, we talked about it during the playoffs.
Yeah, if they really like that, I think way too early projections for me is the Miami Dolphins win a division.
They should be the favorite. I will say though, the Jets, I think, should be in second place. I think expectations for the Jets.
I'm with you.
Let me say this. Expectations for the Jets should be the division, but I think I see them as a second place team in that division.
Right.
And competing for a playoff spot.
I agree. I don't know how I feel about the wild card thing, but certainly competing.
I think Buffalo is under the Jets. I think right now,
I agree with that.
I think they're under the Jets right
now.
But
I'm not necessarily sold on two AFC East teams going to the playoffs. Is what I'm saying.
Okay. Yeah, because you got the North to deal with. For certain, got the North to deal with. And it just depends on what the Chargers do with Jim Harbaugh there. They're gonna have to cut more guys. Like they've already done that. They've got Keenan Allen up out of there and Austin Eckler up out of there. So they're kind of
like Mike Williams. Team. I mean, to be honest,
right?
With you,
Mike Williams is with the Jets. With the Jets,
right? Yeah. I don't see them. I'm be honest with you. I mean, I know Justin Herbert is Justin Herbert, but I don't see them being good next year.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, on paper, yeah.
On paper, yeah. I don't see it.
On paper, I could see them not being good. I just look at the Jim Harbaugh effect, I guess. Yeah. I mean, I can't ignore. I can't ignore
1 year.
Yeah, I got you. I just can't ignore him going to the Niners and just all of a sudden the Niners are like Super Bowl contenders, off that first year. I just
10, 12 years ago, 15 years ago.
Yeah, I know. I'm just saying he's had that kind of effect on other teams is what I'm trying to get to. Maybe he'll have that same effect with the Chargers, regardless of the talent that's on the team.
Yeah, I hear you. I don't agree, but I hear you. Lastly, we want to send a special shout out to Vince Carter and Chauncey Billups. I know there were some other players that I didn't think to.
Yeah, I got the list.
Okay, good. Thank you.
I got the list right here. So Simone Augustus, Chauncey Billups, Doug Collins, Walter Davis, Bo Ryan, Charles Smith. I have to investigate that one a little bit, deeper. Jerry West as pause. That was crazy. Jerry West. So Jerry West is an interesting one because this is his second time getting inducted, right? So he's being inducted as an executive.
Executive, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, I assume so, and deservedly so.
Yep. Dick Barnett, former Nick, from way back in the day. Vince Carter, obviously, we talked about. Michael Cooper, Harley Redden, Herb Simon, and Michelle Timms.
Okay. To round out the list. Shout out to all of them. Shout out to all of them. That's what I'll say. I ain't gonna say nothing.
You look like you about to.
No, crazy. No, I just didn't want. Look. What I was gonna say is half them people I don't know. Half of them people I don't know, but that's not no reason to shit on them. So congratulations.
Yeah, congrats on the class 2024 right there. So
for sure.
That's what's up. That's what's up right there. Yeah, man. This is a great show. Yes, want to give a shout out to the homie up here, Carlton Henry was in the YouTube live chat earlier. Yep, was good. And shout out to everybody on Instagram, man. This is our first night on IG Live, man. Shout out to some folks out here. I saw Saw Tiffany Sports and Heels in here earlier commenting. D Love Sports I saw peeped in here for a little bit. So
what up?
You know, shout out to everybody tuning in on IG, man. We appreciate you guys you know, tuning in now that we on IG Live.
So was it clean on there, man? Was it clean on IG Live?
Nice and clean, man. Nice and clean.
You want to let everybody know that what's going on in the house and shit. I just wanted to make sure we were good.
Technical difficulties. Hey, the technical it happens. Which reminds me, just one little point before we get off. Speaking of technical difficulties, so I'm working from home today. And I just so happen to have First Take on the TV, but I had it on mute because I was on a conference call. And so apparently they had Brock Purdy on as a guest.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they had Brock Purdy on as a guest. And so the first words you hear from Brock Purdy is, hey, you know, how you doing? I'm good and all this stuff. And so Molly asked the question and his picture just froze, right? It just froze. So they went away from him. And I guess Shannon and Stephen A were trying to have some dialogue before they could get him back on to fix the issue. So they get Brock back on and Molly asked the question again and his picture froze the second time. And at that point, they just said, yo, we're sorry to the people. We're not going to be able to have Brock on. Like his thing froze twice and they had to just boot him off the show just like that.
That's what's up. Shout out to him. Yeah. But while you reminded me, shout out to D. I saw the I don't know the third lady that was covering the XFL game with
Arabia from All NFL 32. I'm actually you know, I got her on the list to, you know, come on at some point, maybe next month.
Okay.
She's a big time Commanders fan too. So
we trying to rack up on Commanders fans, huh?
Well, that's why I'm trying to space them out. So that's why I'm like, okay, Cordell's here this month. I'll wait till we get her on, you know, sometime in May. You know, not trying to clump all the Commanders fans at once. You know what I mean?
Nah, I just saw them. I guess they was covering the Defenders game over the weekend.
Ashley and D.
That was fire. Salute to y'all, man. I see what y'all doing. I'm loving that. Shout out to them.
Shout out to them. Shout out to them for doing the work. Shout out to everybody out there, man. If you're watching on Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, IG, we appreciate it. You guys, if you're watching, y'all see the Twitter handles at Barbershop SPOR2, at Maestro Styles. You can find us there. If you got questions, comments about the show, hit us up on the email at barbershopsportstalk1@gmail.com. And then if you're listening on the audio side, leave us a review. Let us know what you think about the show. It goes a long way. And thanks again to Cordell Woodland, you know, for doing this, you know, coming on, you know, with some good content. So, bro, man, if you got nothing else, man, we can close this thing out. We can close this thing out, man. Love, peace, and happiness to everybody out there, folks. And as always, mind your damn business.
Drink some water.
Oh, yeah, we got him. Trey, Frazier, and Maestro Styles, you know we got one. Right back like we left some. We don't duck smoke, we want all of it. So line them up, Trey sharp with the blade, you know we sizing it up. I'm quick to catch the fade, you know Styles making the cut. Cause we coming out clean every time that we showing up.
It's gonna be called The Barbershop.